All right, hey, it's Paul from paulsailor.com. So today I'm going to hit you with some very bad Apple news because a lot of people know that I'm an Apple fan. Recording this on an iPhone 7 right now and have a MacBook at home and haven't had a Windows computer for a long time, but things are changing as they always are. So they just announced the new MacBook Pro, right? And supposedly this is the new thing we've been waiting for all these years. And they haven't had a real refresh for almost 10 years. And just small improvements. And I think I was very hopeful that this new MacBook Pro was going to be awesome. I thought, everybody that knows me, I was waiting for this thing for like 2 years. My friend in Silicon Valley let me borrow his hard drive for like 2 years in my old MacBook Pro because I'm like, the new one's going to be awesome. Ben, it's going to be awesome. And you're going to be so happy I waited. But I did wait, and unfortunately, that's not the case. So in these videos, I try to tell the truth. I really want to tell. I tell the truth from my perspective, and I try to know what I'm saying so that I can tell the truth. So I'm capable of telling the truth. And here's what happened with the new MacBook Pro, and actually Apple in general is not good. I basically recommend you short Apple stock. I don't see any way that you could lose on this one. Apple is highly valued, one of the most highly valued companies in the world, and that's based on future projections for future sales. They're making a huge new, like a headquarters that looks like a spaceship in Silicon Valley, and that's based on hope for the future. But guess what? There's no hope. There's no hope because the new MacBook came out. Let me tell you how bad it is. Okay, I'll just try to do this real quick, but it's so bad it's hard to get everything in one video. But okay, so the Mac Pro traditionally sells for about $10.99. Okay, now they upped it to $12.99 recently, but it's basically like in a lot of Apple people's minds, it's like $10.99 for a new MacBook, right? And they tried to keep the same price, and that's kind of what we expected year after year after year. Not what happened this time. The new one is $14.99, but I'm gonna say that that's not even a MacBook Pro. It's called a MacBook Pro, but it's not. It's basically a MacBook Air. Okay, so because there's not the new Touch Bar on it, right? You basically have a MacBook Air for $14.99, and the MacBook Air used to go for as low as $8.99, right? So now you're looking at a MacBook Pro, $1,500. That's U.S. prices. You start getting over to Europe, you start getting to Australia, you're talking crazy prices. Okay, so I'm talking disaster here. I'm talking real disaster for Apple. So basically, the new MacBook Air is called a MacBook Pro, but it's $14.99. There's nothing special about it. It's not super fast. It's not super powerful. It's not even a Kaby Lake processor. It's basically, it's a Skylake processor, 6th generation. Nothing special. If you edit videos like I do, like hardcore, the RAM's not very fast. It's not really a very fast computer. It's kind of like an average, I can get by with this computer type of computer. This is what we waited, 9 years for this refresh, and this is what they give us. I think Tim Cook should be fired. I think that there should be some massive turnover because of this. Because to get a MacBook Pro, you got to spend $17.99. Okay, that's when you get the new, whatever they call it, the Touch Bar or whatever. It's just basically a half-ass touchscreen is what it is. And I don't care what Apple calls it. Everybody likes touch screens. It's nice to have the option of a touch screen, okay? You might not use it very often, but it's nice to have, right? It's like 911 on your phone, right? You don't use it very often, but when you do, it's nice, right? It's like, you love it, right? So the touch screen is nice. Now, Windows had a touch screen a long time ago, and they have them in like super cheap computers. You have Chromebooks that are like selling for a few $100 with a touch screen, and you have you have iPads with these great touch screens. You have iPhones with great touch screens. You had basically Apple with the technology ready to go, ready to implement, and they didn't do it. So they obviously are. To me, they're like in another dimension of kidding themselves that people don't like touch screens, because everybody that uses a iPad or uses an iPhone uses touch all the time, and we love it. Okay, so somehow we wouldn't like it when it's on a laptop for some reason. Is the kind of thinking, right? It's like, we absolutely don't want it, right? That's what they're sure about, because they're giving us this stupid bar, which my friend Adam actually said something interesting is, if they're going to put a stupid bar on there, like a touch bar, put it over the trackpad, so you can be looking at the screen, and then you can be moving your finger, right? Because you could feel it right above there. Now you got to go over the keyboard to hit this thing, right? So you basically have to look down to see it, right? This is ridiculous. No one wants to do that. You look at the screen, right? You're looking at the screen, you want to look at the screen, right? Even when you're typing, you look at the screen, right? All this does is take your eye off the computer, which if you wanted to do that, you'd be out in the beautiful park like I am right now, right? Not looking at a computer. So basically, there's some serious like out to lunchness going on here. It's like serious, like come on. People like touchpads, okay? That's, hello, like what's going on down at Apple? Like, is it because it's too hierarchical and people can't talk or they can't tell you that they're using a touch screen all the time and they don't mind a touch screen, and at the very least, yeah, exactly. At the very least, they don't mind it, right? No, and it's okay. So that's the next thing. So it's an underpowered. The thing basically costs for a real Mac Pro is $17.99. Now, if you're used to paying $10.99 and now it's $17.99, now Apple already lost the education market, and they lost it hardcore. They lost it to Google Chrome. And I'm not hearing a lot of Apple fans talk about this because the education market is how Apple got going, right? My first Apple was using it at the school, right? In high school, and then at Cal State Fullerton back in like 1984, 1985, right? They had Macs in there, and that's why I got using them, right? Because they were in the education market. No more. It's all Google Chromebooks in the education market, and you had one last bastion of Apple, and that was kind of like people like me who were like producing content, either the designers or video content, and they were basically like guys like us. We had a 13-inch MacBook Pro, and we used the heck out of it, like just grinded that thing into nothing, right? Used it. It's always overheated, hot. My legs are always on fire. I feel like I'm roasting my nuts all the time, because I'm using it so much, editing so much, and I really got a lot out of it. That's another key thing you got to understand here, is if you're an Apple shareholder, you're probably having a tough time wrapping your head around what's going on. So let me just kind of give you what I thought was happening before. You used to read all the time that Apple was basically a joke, okay, that only fanboys would buy it. So fanboys means basically idiots who just believe any marketing tripe, and they buy whatever it is that's popular at the time, right? Just because somebody told them to do it. And I know that was very popular, and I'm going to say that is just definitely not true, and it was never the case. Apple's products were like workhorses, man. They like, I had a 2009 MacBook. My girlfriend dropped it down 2 flights of concrete stairs the first day I got it. It was before I even saw it. Yeah, she dropped it without a case down 2 flights of Chinese concrete stairs. If you've ever been in Chinese concrete stairs, and we're talking real concrete here, like nothing on top, just boom, 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 all the way down, and it had dents in the corners before I even used it the first time. No problem, didn't break, right? This is not fanboy stuff here, guys. This is like seriously practical stuff. It had no case because we just bought it. She had just opened it up, and she opened it up. She was so excited. She was walking upstairs. She dropped it, and it bounced all the way down. I mean, it like literally, she told me, like bounced, boing, boing, boing on the corners, right, which you could see. And but the thing still worked. See, that's the thing, is it had a great battery. It was a workhorse. It was very well made, and it got the job done, right? So that's why I used Apple. Okay, I didn't use Apple because of any kind of marketing. I tried Windows, but it just didn't have. They would break too easy. They wouldn't. There's a lot of problems with them. The battery didn't last long enough for me. Always on the road. So I used it for very practical reasons. Okay, so there's a roundabout saying that if you're thinking this is like fanboy stuff here, don't think that, because I'm telling you right now that was wrong. But what's happening now is completely different. Okay, what's happening now is Apple's not making what people want. Okay, that's the problem. Is they're not making what people like I want. Okay, now Microsoft is making it. If you look at the new Surface Studio, I want that thing. It's a very nice machine. It's like $3,000, but I mean, look at that thing. It's like value. It's like pride and value and everything just shining like a bright light coming out of the desk, and it's a beautiful machine, right? I wish Apple would have made this. I'm not anti-Apple, okay? But they're not making what anybody wants anymore. And so you got a company that's highly valued. You got a company investing in a lot of like infrastructure, like in Silicon Valley, new offices, very expensive things that cost a lot to maintain based on future value rising, right? And you have basically, there's no MacBook Pro anymore. There's a hole in their whole line. They have the MacBook, which is basically a joke. Anybody who's like a producer or does anything with their life can't use that thing. The only thing it's good for is email and maybe a YouTube video here and there. You can't even open up too many It's $12.99 too. Okay, it's $12.99. I mean, I don't know. There used to be a day when if you had an Apple product, you looked cool. Okay, so money and coolness they go hand in hand, because if you're a salesman and you sell something and you whipped out something that was cool, like to say the original MacBook Pro, and you plugged it in and you do your presentation, you seem very confident, you knew what you're doing, right? So there was also a benefit to having an Apple product because it was cool back then, because it was a good product, and it was like smart people bought it, right? Just like those old ads they had. It was really true. Now, if you buy the new MacBook Pro, okay, let's say you like it, you want to pay $17.99 for the bottom of the line with the touch thing. I mean, I don't know why you would. You got to be out of your. I mean, I think you're out of your mind. There's so many good products you can buy besides that. But let's just say you did want to buy it. Okay, it's kind of like you might buy platform shoes, but don't expect anybody to think you're cool because of it, right? You want to buy it. It's fine. You want a purple car, or you want a yellow jacket. It's fine. But you're definitely not going to get any praise for it, and you're not going to get any extra sales for it, and you're not going to look cool for it. And there's no real benefit because the thing's like underpowered and overpriced. And it just sets you up for. I mean, for me, I travel a lot. I don't want to carry $5,000 worth of stuff in my bag all the time, because I go out at night. I'm out. The bag gets left. Sometimes I hold the table with it. It's like I forget it on the back of my thing. I don't like to, right? So, but I will if it's worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, Apple. It's not worth it anymore. And this is very serious because it's going to be very hard to Apple to backtrack. Okay, usually you can change easy. The only way I can see it happening is if Tim Cook gets out there and he says, we made a mistake and we're going to drop the price from $17.99 to $11.99, or at the very most $12.99. Take $500 off. And even then, it's barely worth it. Okay, it's barely worth it. It is worth it. Okay, the new MacBook with the touch screen, the touch thing bar, I'd say for $12.99 for myself, it would be barely worth it. That's $500 discount. Now, if Apple does that, obviously there's going to be a big problem with their stock price, and there's going to be a lot of yelling and hollering. But at least it'll save the company from basically going to nothing, because right now they don't have anything anybody wants to buy. That nobody wants. There's a hole in the middle of their product line, and it's not filled by the $14.99 product. That's not what anybody wanted. Okay, they don't want an underpowered, overpriced piece of crap. Nobody wanted that. Okay, they don't want a pile of poo. Nobody. That's not on anybody's shopping list, right? So basically, what you have now is you have a fancy $12.99 device, or more, depending on if you add things. That's the MacBook, right? The 12-inch. I mean, I guess I could see that for something. If you're, I don't know, you're an email user and you're wealthy and you have a good job and you just want to, you don't ever do anything like hardcore with your computer. You never added anything. You're not a professional photographer. You're not a professional videographer. You don't design anything. You just basically are a salesman. Maybe $12.99. The battery's okay. It's not as good as the old ones, the MacBook Air, but it's okay. It looks good. It's a nice machine. It's nice and thin. Okay, that's about all Apple has anymore. Is a $12.99 overpriced small laptop that really can't do any work. So that's all we got here. And if you start talking about small things that can't do any work, you start getting into like Google Chromebooks for $199. So that's what the competition is for the MacBook, the 12-inch MacBook is a $199 Chromebook, because they can do about the same amount of work almost. It's like not big difference between these two. So I don't know. Apple's lost their way. It's lost their way, and I'm doing this on a phone, right? And the phone, okay, it had like a headphone jack, right? So I'm using a professional mic right now on this video, and it's plugged into the headphone jack. The problem is, if I switch to the 7, okay, this thing's not going to fit in there. And the way this mic is, it automatically faces, like it connects to the phone, and I can't show you because it's on the phone right now, but let's imagine it just catches on my phone, and then so wherever I move, it's a directional mic. It points right at whoever's talking, right? Whoever it's pointed at. So basically, if I use a dongle, the mic's going to just be hanging down, okay? It's like a penis just hanging down, right? It's not going to be pointing out at where I want to point, right? I want to point it at myself, or I want to point it at whoever I'm trying to record their voice, right? So it's really pathetic, because I wanted to like the 7, and there's a chance I might buy an iPhone 7 just because it's a little bit better picture quality, a little bit better video quality. And I do video for a living, and I don't like to carry an extra camera. So this is not like I'm never going to buy anything from Apple again. I might buy the 7. I might. I'm not excited about it. And the way I look at Apple products now, and this is pretty pathetic actually, and I think a lot of people, once they kind of hear this, it's going to make sense, is if you're stuck into the iOS or in Mac software, you might have invested so much in software and in learning, like you've trained yourself to learn how to use all these things, that basically you don't know Windows anymore. So you're basically, imagine yourself like locked in, okay? You're locked into to Apple. So it's like they're taking advantage of you because you don't have any options. So it's like a prisoner who's locked in prison. It's not because he wants to be there, it's because he can't get out, right? There's no way he can get out. That was the case with Apple products, but it wasn't like in a bad way. It wasn't like you're in solitary confinement. It was like, okay, I'm locked in, but these are great products and they do the job, right? But I knew I was locked in because Apple always did that. They always did that, which nobody likes. Nobody's into freedom and into like the internet. They don't like being locked into things, but they put up with it, right? It's like, okay, it's a nice product. It does what I need. It does lock me in, which I don't like, but nothing's perfect in this world. Okay. Now, basically, you have Apple stripping away all the good parts and raising the price like $600, okay, for a product that's just an average, very average product. And the price is up $600, okay, and the battery is smaller. The battery is smaller than the old MacBook Pro. So I don't know what to say, but I would say if you want to make money, short Apple stock, because it's going to be an easy. I believe it's going to be an easy way to make money over the next couple of years, because I can't see Apple changing. Tim Cook's in charge. It's pretty much been house on fire, nightmare since he took over. Now it's obvious that they don't know what they're doing. And just to say one last thing about how bad it is last year I read many times about Tim Cook saying that the iPad was going to be the new thing, right? No one's going to want a laptop anymore because they want iPads, right? iPads. You're going to do all your work on an iPad. Yeah, well, cars are going to fly, right? We're going to live to 1,000 years old. It's true, but not anytime soon, okay? So everybody's trying to buy a MacBook and then they don't have one, okay? And the reason why, I would say, is because the ship is steered in the wrong direction. So now that they're probably getting a wake-up call, stocks will drop in half or whatever, and then they'll say, oh yeah, maybe we made a little mistake here by ignoring our main users and raising the price $600 to give them something that's underpowered and they basically don't want, okay? So I don't know what's going to happen in Apple. I think there's going to have to be heads rolling in Apple and a real come to Jesus moment, and it might take as much as 5 or 10 years to get their act together, just like it did with Microsoft. You're finally seeing some real innovative products and very, very cutting edge stuff. Virtual reality, 3D printing, design coming out of Microsoft. But how long did it take to get their act together? I mean, 20 years? It took a long time. It's kind of like American cars, right? They started being bad about the 70s, and then you finally had a good American car when the Tesla came out, right? So it takes like 30 years, 20 years. I have a feeling that's what's going to take with Apple. And it's the same kind of thing. It's basically you're going to see the utter demise of Apple, the dropping of the stock, the just pathetic attempt over and over to overprice goods and to sell things that nobody wants. And basically they're digging their own grave. You don't even have to give them a shovel. They're digging their own grave. So if you want to start an laptop company now, it's a great time to start, because there's a huge business that's basically blowing this huge opportunity. And I think you're going to see companies like Huawei, you're going to see like Xiaomi. Hopefully you'll see a Japanese company come along that's going to make a decent laptop that people actually want to use. Dell is getting better, but nobody's really got the killer yet. I think the killer might be the Xiaomi 13.3 inch, but nobody seems to have heard of it except me. I've talked about it before on my blog. I think that's a great computer. It's a very well-made laptop, but I don't own it yet, so I'm probably going to buy it, and I'll tell you when I find it out. But right now, start thinking. You got to go back into the mindset of buying Windows again and see what's available. And wean yourself off Apple, because it ain't going to get better. It's going to get better. It's going to be another 10 years probably before there'll be a decent Apple product. So start thinking about Windows, what you're going to do if you want to go to a Chromebook. They're very cheap. They're great products. Obviously, they've taken the youth market totally. All schools are filled with Chromebooks now. So if you want an inexpensive computer, think Chromebook. If you want a nice computer, think Windows, or think Surface. I think the new Surface Pro 5 is going to be very, very nice, because you saw the Surface Studio come out, would just be stunning. It's absolutely stunning, right? And the Surface Pro 4 was much better than anybody thought. And I can't, I have to like pinch myself, slap myself, because for me to be saying this, it's like I want to, I'm afraid a sniper's going to take me out or something, because I've been so pro Apple, and for good reason, for many years. But I got to tell you, those days are totally over. It's a new generation. Don't ever buy an Apple product, not for a long time. And start looking at unfortunately, you have to start looking at the complex ecosystem that is Windows, because it's very complex. Instead of one product, there's like thousands, there's hundreds of different things you got to think about. Do you want the HD built-in webcam, or do you want the bigger battery? Do you want the what are all the things? There's so many options now on Windows computers. It's like, do you want the Thunderbolt 3.1, or are you going to get you have to basically start thinking again. When Apple was good in the old days, it was easy, because you could just say, look, a MacBook's going to be a solid machine. Easy decision, right? Save my time. I don't want to waste my time thinking about this stuff. Unfortunately, you really do have to do that now. And I would say start getting used to Windows, learning Windows again, Office, all the things that you didn't use for so long. Start to learn those things again and make the shift back. And it's no big deal. Things move forward, things move on. And companies make massive mistakes, and they die and they get taken over, and the ecosystem picks itself up again. And hopefully there'll be a new Apple. Maybe there'll be I just thought of this. Maybe there'll be like a huge revolt inside Apple, and like a bunch of people will quit. Like all the smart guys will quit and start a new company. That I would highly recommend if you work for Apple. Start thinking about that. Start thinking about taking guys that are getting sidelined now with their good ideas, and get those guys and pull them out, start a real company that makes something people want, and keep in touch with virtual reality, 3D printing, design, things that people are thinking about now, and then making a workhorse that you can sell high volume to all the creators in the world, because that's what they want. And I just say one other thing is, just to tell you how out of touch Apple is. It really is. And I never heard this before, but okay, I use my phone mainly for video, okay, or pictures, right? That's why I have a phone. I probably take a phone call every 4 days at the most. Maybe once a week, actually. I have to go back and check my history, but it's not very often, right? I usually I'm on apps, or I'm using it to create something, right? Now think about this. Why in the hell, when I walk into an Apple store, it doesn't look like a Canon store? It should look like a Canon store, where like there's all these cases to hold it. There's like really killer, very advanced, what do they call it? Tripods. Like if you look at the tripods right now, they're a complete joke. Nobody smart is making a tripod yet. The legs are either like this one, they're 6 inches long, very small, or they're like super long and heavy, like heavy tripods, right? People like me, we travel, we want something to stick in our bag. We want one camera, which is our phone, and we want one tripod, which is lightweight, carry it every day. When we need something, we take it out, boom, start shooting, right? No time to think, and a good idea comes to me, I want to shoot, I want to create right now, right? So what Apple should look like, if they were a smart company, it would look like almost like a camera shop, like a Canon place, right? You'd have all these different cases. They would start to design the phone, because when you try to shoot a video with an iPhone, it really is pretty terrible to hold. I mean, it's obviously they're not thinking about producers when they make an iPhone. What they're thinking about is somebody having tea, having tea and crumpets, and having their phone laying down nice and thin and everything. But that's not what people really need. That's not why you really use phones anymore. They either do selfies with them, they take videos with them, they're taking pictures with them, they're doing panoramas. I mean, they're putting them on Instagram. That's what they're using phones. People use phones for, right? They're using the apps to calculate things. They're using apps for everything, right? Why don't they design the phone that you can hold it in your hand without having a wrist problem, right? Why don't they design it? Why don't the designers get out there and make some damn videos and learn how to hold the phone, and how miserable it is and how slippery it is to hold these things, instead of like making a phone and then relying on everybody else to make the things that everybody uses it for, right? It's like, come on, you guys, like start making what people want. That's, it's like, so that you go there, you're going to take pictures. The thing's designed as easier to hold in your hand for a long time. Every time I try to like do a video, right now I'm using a little stand, right? And it's really lame too. It's expensive, but it's not very good. And if I ever hand it to my friend to hold, it's like they get so tired they can't even, like, they're like, Paul, 15 minutes too long, I can't hold it, and they start dropping it, right? And the reason why is because the phone's not made to be held. So this is the revolution should be going on, is people designing things for the way people use them today. Okay, they don't use it as a phone anymore, right? You don't use like this anymore. It's not how they're used. They're used like this. They're used like this. they're sitting up on their bed looking at like that, right? Start thinking, if you're thinking about leaving Apple and starting a new company, start thinking about how you actually use your device and how lame it is. Like how lame right now it is, right? That the way that it's designed, it's not designed for you to use it the way you use it now, right? So make something that makes sense. There's so many business opportunities that we don't even see because we just think everybody's done everything. It's complete bullshit. You can make a powerful new company. You can take your own idea, create something that creates serious value for other people in the world, and make a lot of money because other people dropped the ball, like as we saw here with Apple. So there you go. There's my update on Apple. If you make some money, send it over my way. No, just kidding. But good luck with that, and thanks for watching. And as usual, subscribe to the channel if you like these videos. Every video I make, there's no rhyme or reason, okay? I'm like Kate Bush of videos, okay? I make things that I think are important, that are timely right now. And everything is very sincere. So if you want to ask me a question, whatever, just send it to Paul at paulsalo.com, and I'd be happy to answer you, or leave a comment below and I'll go ahead and I will respond. So thank you very much.